What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here with another preview stream for you guys. Less than a week to go, people. It is less than a week to go. Any nerves started to settle in for you just yet?
Well, with the news of Decky being injured, I think the nerves are starting to settle in for everyone. But look, it's a final. It's against a team we know we can beat. We've beaten 3 times, so we should go there with no fear. But of course, it's a blow. These injury news, we'll get into it. But I'm excited. I'm very excited to be in Bilbao. I'm very excited to go to Spain. I'm very excited to be in a cup final, in a European final, with a bunch of Spurs fans. So reportedly 15,000 Spurs fans without a ticket, apparently, they're saying, are going to be in Bilbao.
So that means...
What, 25,000 or 26,000?
Yeah, around 25, 26,000 Spurs fans in general going to be there. I don't know how they make that calculation, that they're saying that there's going to be 15,000 Spurs fans as opposed to Man United's 2,000. Without
I don't know. I don't know how
they make it, but those are the reports on social media.
Well, it should be something special if that's the case. Loads of Spurs fans in Bilbao.
Yeah, because you remember back in Madrid, you know, we were outnumbered. It felt like for every 5 Liverpool fans, there was 1 Spurs fan. It felt like literally outnumbered 5-1, and this will be like the other way around.
The party after the game,
Spurs Wonderland in Bilbao.
If we win the final, the party after the game is going to be biblical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Biblical.
So you might have to bear with us the day after the game if we are going to win it. But look, we do have a small matter of Aston Villa game to contend with.
You say small matter ironically, but it really is a small matter this time.
Yeah, it's true. This time I'm being dead serious. The small matter of an Aston Villa game, which, you know, Ange in the press conferences, well, we'll get into all of that when we talk about the match preview. We got a members chat here just before we get into everything from Rich Frith, and he says, well, I can't get it up at the moment, but can you get it up on the overlay? But he says, thinking Ange might start Levy at 10 tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. But the options we have, we're down to the bare bones here, so I think Levy might have to get his boots on.
And nobody wants to see that. All right, let's start off and get into the Tottenham update. First and foremost, I want to say a massive congratulations to Jamie Donnelly and Josh Keeley for qualifying for the League One playoff final last night against Stockport. What a game. What a two-legged tie. Obviously, they drew 2-2 at home in the first leg. Last night, it was 1-1, went all the way to penalties. Josh Keeley, the star of the show yesterday. He was brilliant, wasn't he?
Absolutely fantastic. Did he get man of the match? He must have.
If he didn't, I don't know what they're doing, because I thought he was phenomenal. Some of the saves that he was pulling out, saved in the penalty shootout as well. Jamie Donnelly as well. He just ran his socks off last night. And both of them can hold their heads up really high.
Yeah, and I think it was clearly a difficult game, but they took the lead and they were looking to hang on to that lead for most of the game. They did get a setback. You've got to say, great finish from the Stockport player, that little back heel with the shot, and wrong-footed Keeley. But there was a moment, especially near the end of the game and in extra time, where Stockport, only a matter of time before they would score, but Keeley was just battering everything away, everything that came his way, making save after save, keeping Leyton Orient in the game, and then stepped up in the penalty shootout, made the save, and here they are in the final. And Donnelly, I think, did he play 120 minutes?
No, he went off towards the end of extra time.
Toward the end, yeah. So he went off. So he went off a bit later on, but. He was doing a crucial job for the team, winning fouls, relieving the pressure, all that kind of stuff. And I think people need to understand the achievement this is for Orient to get to this final, because before the season, they were tipped to be in a relegation battle. They were tipped to really struggle. And they were struggling as well up until like November time, where Keeley and Donnelly became fixtures in the team. And these 2 players have literally dragged them to this playoff.
And the striker as well.
And not on the striker. I'm just saying... of course, I'm just saying, since they got into the team, that really gave them the injection they needed to kick on and get into this, get an outside shot at the playoffs and actually get there. Now they're in the final, and I think if it wasn't for Donnelly and Keeley, I don't know if they'd be there.
Yeah, it's true. Keeley, I think, particularly what a season he's had, from the saving them in the FA Cup with that goal in the last round. He's been probably, close to their player of the, it's rare you give a goalkeeper player of the year.
Well, they gave it to Donnelly, didn't they?
They did give it to Donnelly, but I think even before Donnelly kind of came to the fore for them, Josh Keeley was already performing and already being one of their standout players. So I think he might have slipped a bit under the radar in terms of player of the season. He's been phenomenal. He really has.
He's just been called up for the senior Ireland team, which is an incredible achievement, which if you told him at the beginning of the season, by the end of the season, you're going to be playing for your country and potentially, get your first cap at his age. It's phenomenal. And it just goes to show the strides he's making, the recognition he's getting. And look, hopefully we got a keeper for the future there at Tottenham, if he can get his chance.
And the Leyton Orient manager was speaking after the game, and he was speaking about Josh Keeley, and he said that, he was so confident that they were going to win the penalty shootout. Not only because they've had 4 penalty shootouts already over the course of the season, but he said Josh Keeley is the best goalkeeper at penalties that he's ever seen in his career, which is crazy.
Wow, especially at this young age. That's mad.
That's Richie Wellens, Richie Wellens came through the academy at Manchester United when Sir Alex Ferguson was there. He probably played most of his football at Leicester, but I don't think he ever made a senior appearance for Manchester United, but he was there when all the greats were there.
So he's better at penalties than Schmeichel.
That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying.
Unless he wasn't there when Schmeichel was there, I don't know. But look, it's high praise for especially being such a young goalkeeper. And I think his loan deal couldn't have gone any better. I think if he could have asked for how well his loan deal would go, he'd probably say something like this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it begs the question now: what happens next season with these guys? Obviously, they've got the playoff final to think about. And if Leyton Orient do win that and do get promoted, the second semi-finals tonight, I think, between Charlton and someone else, can't remember who off the top of my head. But if Leyton Orient do get promoted, do they go back there? Because they're clearly loved by the fans. It's a place that they feel at home, London-based as well. Or do they come back here? Do they try and get a loan move like even further up the pecking order? Like, what do we do with them next season?
Yeah, it's a good question. Which is what Ange was talking. I was asked about them in his press conference about what we're going to do with them. He said, obviously first of all, he doesn't know if he's going to be the one taking care of that, but he's assuming he is, I'm guessing. And he said that we'll take them back in pre-season, we'll have a good look at them, and we'll make all the relevant decisions. Obviously, there's rumours about, I think, West Brom in for Donnelly and other clubs. So I think we've got to do what's best for him. But I think right now, Orient would be a fantastic option if they're back in the Championship. If they're in the Championship, and they're settled in that team, they know that they're going to get the game time. They know they're playing a certain way that suits them, and they're well loved by the fans. The coach loves them as well. I think it's probably a great option to get that experience in the Championship for another season for them.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the West Brom links, and that's the next thing I was about to say, as you can see on the headline. Birmingham Live, a publication out in Birmingham, says that West Brom are interested in bringing Jamie Donnelly on a permanent deal for next season. The Baggies have made an early 1.5 million offer to his parent club Spurs as they look to prize him away on a permanent deal. He still has 2 years left in his contract at Tottenham, and if they don't want to let him go permanently, an option of a season-long loan move is on the table as well. First of all, get your grubby hands off him, West Brom, because you ain't getting him on a permanent, that's for sure. And in terms of a loan, I'm just looking at the way that this Lancashire loan has gone, and it's been horrible for him, to be honest. He hasn't been able to get good amount of game time. I don't know how well West Brom have done this season, but
it's weird because
5 points out the playoffs or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but when I've seen West Brom fans talk about him, they seem to have quite high praise for him. They seem to say he's got really good hold-up play, he does a really good job when he's on the pitch. But it seems as though, I don't know, the manager just doesn't think they got they play Grant up front a lot of the time, and they don't really start him too many games. But apparently when he's gotten his opportunity, obviously I don't think he scored any goals or anything, but apparently he's looked quite good, and I've seen some praise, but unfortunately it hasn't gone to plan, I would say, for him. So whether we trust West Brom to take Donnelly as well, I don't know. But then again, if as you say, they're a team near the playoffs, and if they're going to be near that again next season, and they're going to give Donnelly more opportunities, then it might be a good club to go to potentially.
Get Donnelly at Wrexham, that's what I say. they're headed straight to the top.
That'd be fun. Wouldn't mind
that. Let's get into some injury news, because Ange has been speaking the press conference today. Firstly, he has confirmed that Timo Werner currently has a hamstring strain.
Ooh, big blow.
And he's going to be out for the game tomorrow night. Do you reckon if he didn't have a hamstring strain, he would have been in contention?
No.
Not even with the big game coming up next week?
No.
Why not?
because he hasn't. We left him out of the Europa squad. He hasn't played since January.
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably play more over him. I don't think we'd play him.
Not even off the bench, nothing.
No, maybe on the bench, maybe. But other than that, I don't think he plays tomorrow, even if he's fit.
Yeah. On Sonny, he says whether he'll start or not, we'll see. He reacted well to Sunday, and it makes sense to get him more match minutes, whether it be starting or just playing half the game. So I do envisage maybe Sonny starting tomorrow and then coming off at half time.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see where he plays him. Obviously, he left out Richarlison and Solanke of the game against Palace. Does he do the same tomorrow? If he does do the same, is Sonny going to play up front? If he doesn't, could Sonny maybe play in the 10? Because I do envisage whatever happens, Tell's probably going to start tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if Tell is going to start, does he start up front? Does he start in the 10? I think we're going to learn we'll learn a bit in terms of maybe Ange's intentions for the solutions in that for the Decky's replacement essentially tomorrow, in the sense that what he tries and who looks best. And he said he will be trying some things, and he's also said there's a chance for someone to kind of grab that position for Wednesday.
Yeah, he did say that. On BERGVALL, we heard some rumours yesterday floating around on social media that's saying BERGVALL is back on the grass, and he's getting back fit, training by himself, and kind of Ange almost confirmed all that in his press conference, and he says, but he did say that Lucas is not making a quick recovery from his injury. He says it's still the same time frame. It was never a long-term one, but he has just got out the boot and he's taking his first steps on the grass, but it's still likely to be a while. Now, we have heard Ange be a bit devious with his injury updates before, but it's usually the other way. Do we believe Ange, and do we believe he's definitely out for the final?
Well, it hasn't happened before where he said someone's out and then come the game that they're back. I do
kind of vaguely remember.
I think last season it happened with Bentancur, didn't it
happen with Romero and Van de Ven for the Chelsea game?
That as well. I think he he wouldn't confirm that they're fit or something, or he said in the press conference, they're still maybe a bit away, and they both played. I think Bentancur as well.
But they did both break down that game.
They did. But what's it called? Bentancur, I remember last season when he was come back from his injury, he got injured against Villa, and then kind of out of nowhere he came back when was a bit of a surprise. So I wouldn't completely rule out, especially seeing as he's out the boot and he is back on grass and he's got a week to recover. So you never know, but I think, obviously, whatever happens, it will be a risk. It would be rushing him back. There's a chance he'll break. There's a good chance he'll break down if he is there. So I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't put your money on it. But I guess the fact that he's out the boot and he is kind of saying, it's not a long-term thing and all that kind of stuff. So maybe there's a small chance. And the fact that some people are saying he is in individual training at the moment, that's some of the rumours there as well. So I'm sure he's going to try his best, and maybe there might be a spot on the bench for him. I don't see him starting or anything on Wednesday, but if he can give us any kind of minutes, especially if we're chasing a game and we need just that little bit of magic, and he can give us 5-10 minutes, maybe it'll be worth rushing him back. But I wouldn't bank on it.
Look, if you're going to rush him back for any game, it's going to be this one, a cup final where he can really make an impact. But look, we'll wait and see. And on Decky, it's horrific news, to be honest. He said in the press conference, initially we thought it wasn't too serious, but it blew up the day after. He's had surgery, which will put him out for at least a few months. And there was a club statement that says, we can confirm Dejan Kulusevski suffered an injury to his right patella in our Premier League fixture against Crystal Palace last weekend. Following further specialist consultation, the midfielder has undergone surgery today and will commence his rehabilitation with our medical staff immediately. We're all with you, Decky. And he took to social media yesterday and he says, for the people that I gave joy this year, thank you, I appreciate you, and I love you. Don't be sad. We'll be back, and we're coming for everybody.
Coming for it. I like that. But it's just our luck, isn't it? Understand that with Maddison and BERGVALL out, people would want Ange to wrap him in cotton wool ahead of the final. But at the end of the day, it wasn't like he was playing well. He kind of needed the game time to try and get up to speed for that final. And I don't really blame Ange for playing him.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. A hard but fair challenge by Guerre. He wasn't even a foul. He gets the ball. And Decky just tweaks his knee. It's just so unfortunate that it happens a couple games before the final. And it's just our luck, isn't it? It just seems as though whenever we seem to be getting to a good place in the squad, something bad is just around the corner. And as Ange said, he sees the light at the tunnel, and it seems to be an oncoming train, and this seems to be another one. So it's gutting for him, especially the veracity of the injury. They're saying months. He confirmed it's going to be months. Ange Postecoglou, he was even asked in the press conference, some players with this kind of injury could be up to 12 months. With this injury.
The journalist said if you Google the surgery that Decky has had, they're saying 6 to 12 months. That's which is
mental. I mean, Decky, to be fair, is the kind of player who usually does recover maybe quicker than most from injuries. But still, I mean, the fact that it's possible with this kind of injury, I'm guessing it depends on the severity of how bad it was, whatever it was happened, the severity of it. He did say he doesn't think it's going to be 12 months, but the fact that it,
he didn't say he doesn't think it's going to be 6 months though.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't know, I guess, is the reality, and we have to wait and see what the prognosis is. But the fact that that kind of injury has that kind of potential is it's just so gutting for him. And look, we wish him a speedy recovery, but looks as though he's going to be out for a while, and that's gutting.
What we do know though for sure is he's going to miss the start next season. That's for sure. Which is,
he said he doesn't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say he probably will. But that's that in the injury news.
We thought Dragusin would be out for the new year, and he's back, isn't he?
He's back on the grass, yeah. But you never know. Like, still, when back on the grass, how long until you're match fit and actually get on the pitch.
Yeah,
but
if
if you're back on the grass, you do assume he's going to get the start of the season.
Yeah, he's got 3 months to get fit from the start of the season, which is incredible work from Radu. So you never know.
Yeah, it's true. Let's talk about Son Heung-min, because a weird one coming out. ESPN reporting that Tottenham captain Son Heung-min has filed a complaint to the South Korean police alleging he was the victim of a blackmail attempt. His agency said on Thursday, after media reports that a woman had threatened him with false pregnancy claims. The police are currently investigating, so we'll let you know the results as soon as they're available. His agency, Son and Football Limited, said in a statement, "We'd like to tell you that Son Heung-min is clearly the victim of this incident."
Well, that's obviously horrible news. Hopefully he's doing okay personally with it, and hopefully they arrest the perpetrator and whoever's doing it, and Sonny can, recover mentally from it. Obviously, this kind of news for him at any point is awful. Ahead of a big cup final is probably even more pressure on him to kind of get his head in the right space. I hope he's doing okay. That's all I can say, really. It's a terrible story, really, for him to be a victim of that kind of thing.
They even went as far as to ask Ange about it in the press conference today, didn't they?
Which is a bit ridiculous, I thought.
Yeah, like, he wasn't obviously entertaining any questions like that, and he says, look, this is a criminal matter. Take it up with the police if you want to take it up with anyone. So that's what kind of his vibe was. But Sonny did an interview with TNT a day or two ago, and he was talking about considering himself a club legend or not. And he says, yeah, this is just my opinion. Everybody has a different opinion. So this is the one thing that I always wanted to do. 10 years' time, I still don't even think, though, I scored many goals and contributed many things for this club, but I still don't think that piece is the puzzle. So missing the pieces of the puzzle, yeah, that happens, and we'll see after the game what I say. But basically, he was saying he doesn't consider himself a club legend until he brings home a trophy.
You should ask him, does he consider Kane a club legend?
Yeah, I know. That should have been the follow-up question.
But yeah, I guess he didn't want to put himself in a tough spot. But yeah, look, obviously for me, he's definitely a club legend, considering the players we do consider a club legend who haven't won trophies. You don't have to win a trophy to be considered a club legend. And obviously, he's one of our top goal scorers ever in the Prem. He's been one of our most long-serving players in the Prem with consistent high-quality performances. The guy has been a elite world-class striker. He's been or forward. He's been an incredible ambassador for Tottenham as well. The way he conducts himself, the lovable person he is, and just how good he is. It's just no doubt about it. This guy will be remembered for a long, long time after he leaves Tottenham, whether we win on Wednesday or not.
Yeah. And in my eyes, he's a club legend. Just if he captains the side to this trophy, he'll be even more of a club legend and actually even more into the history of this football club. So, look, we know Sonny, he likes to be hard on himself, doesn't he, at the best of times. So he wants to get that trophy home more than anyone. So let's hope he can do that on Wednesday night. And to see Sonny lifting that trophy more than anyone will give me so much joy. It really will. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Bryan Gil. We haven't mentioned his name in a while, and a Spanish publication, El Demarque, says that Girona now are unlikely to activate the 12.5 million option to buy for Bryan Gil, as they can't afford it. However, Villarreal are now plotting to step in and move to sign the Spanish international this summer.
Yeah, but it's a bit complicated, isn't it? Because he's got a fairly significant injury, doesn't he?
I'm not sure how long he's still out for, because he got it a while ago, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think it was for a few months, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, look, we'll have to wait and see what the kind of plans for him in the summer. Hopefully he gets to move, and I think this chapter needs to be put to bed, because I don't think staying at Tottenham is going to be good for him in the long term. He needs to go back to Spain where he feels more comfortable, and hopefully we can find another move. But, yeah, I mean, 12.5 million is not exactly a lot to ask for, but we're struggling even to get that fee. So whether we loan him out again or what in the summer remains to be seen, I guess.
Yeah, he actually had a meniscus lateral ligament in his knee, so they don't expect him to be back till around July time. So it's still quite a while, which is obviously not great. But look, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all those news stories brought to you today. And we've got a super chat here from Tom Witten, and he says Timo in the 10.
Well,
unfortunately he's injured, so
maybe we'll be back for Wednesday. Haven't tried that, Timo in the 10.
Yeah, it's a shame he's not in the Europa League squad. Otherwise, we'd really give that one a go.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was shoo-in. He was shoo-in. It's unfortunate.
All right, well, I think it's time to look forward to this game tomorrow night at Villa Park. Injury list starting to mount up a little bit. We'll get into the predicted lineup, but what is the injury news going into it?
Yeah, obviously, Dejan Kulusevski is now completely ruled out for tomorrow's game, and for the final as well, with that horrible knee injury. We know the likes of Radu Dragoshin has got a long-term injury. James Maddison has a long-term injury. Timo Werner is confirmed now to have a hamstring injury. Lucas Bergvall is out the boot and on grass, but tomorrow is definitely going to come too soon, and most likely the final as well is going to come too soon. And it was also confirmed that Dane Scarlett has had surgery to correct I think it was a knee issue, or I can't remember which one, but he's had surgery, and he's not going to be out fit until the kind of pre-season as well. So yeah, that injury list, after we whittled it right down, is getting back to the previous levels again. And they're all attacking players. So before, apart from Radu, they're literally, like, early in the season, like, all our defence was wiped out, and now all our creative midfielders are wiped out. It's like whenever we have a crisis, it all seems to be in one position. It's just so annoying.
And that also happened last season. Like, it seemed as though it was only one position at a time that we were getting decimated. It's so frustrating. And particularly with the game coming up on Wednesday, we're just going to need everyone and hands on deck, and it's just it's just so frustrating. But look, let's try and predict what sort of team that we're going to put out tomorrow night. Ange was asked about integrity of the competition, and is he worried about that kind of stuff? And I was like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, what are you talking about, integrity? Like, we've literally got the biggest games of our lives coming up on Wednesday night, and they're sitting here talking about integrity of the competition.
Yeah, they're always trying to get digs. Oh, you're going to try and lose tomorrow, Ange? Yeah, because you've got the game on for Wednesday, yeah? It's like, look, we don't have to try and lose to lose the game, mate. It's been happening all season. So I think that everyone's got to chill. Obviously, we're going to rest players. And he's saying, look, Villa obviously going to go full strength because they're going for Champions League, and so are we. We've got a big cup final coming up, and that's our chance to get Champions League. So, of course, he said he'd be derelicting his duties to not prioritise that cup final. And he's absolutely right.
Absolutely. So, let's get into it. 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. I'm not sure which way we're going to go. But in goal, I think Kinski gets another shot, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so as well, and I think he deserves it. I think he came in against Palace, did a really good job, and I think made a lot of saves, probably kept the score down. And yeah, I think he's probably worth another start, especially with the big cup final. He's not going to play that anyway. So I think, I would start Kinski here, albeit the last time I went to Villa Park, it didn't go great for him. But
have Spurs ever had, like, a better goalkeeping roster than this? Like, ever? Like, seriously. Like, Vicario, Kinski, Keeley, the work he's doing. I even like the look of Luca Gunter as well. I mean, we've got such good goalkeepers on the ranks.
Absolutely, and I think we've done very well with the keeper situation. Albeit a lot of people are questioning Vicario at the moment, but I think Kinski is a very good number 2.
Let's look at the back four.
Yeah, now it gets
a
tricky.
bit tricky.
Yeah, now it's tricky.
Well, the goalkeeper was tricky as well. We still don't know for sure, but
So the question is, I think Gray definitely starts. Where does he start? Does he
I
start
think
at
Gray
right
starts
back,
in midfield.
or does he? So who starts at right back? Because Porro played an hour against Palace. Did he take it off early because maybe he's going to play this game and he's going to play the final? Obviously, we know Porro's one of those players that's very durable. He doesn't really get injured. He's played a lot of games, but he's going to be so crucial for us.
I think it'll be silly to start Porro in this game, just in case.
With the fact that Porro now, but the fact that Porro played against Palace, that mean maybe we go Spence and the doggy potentially in this game?
What I would want, me personally, I would want Spence and Reguilon. I've said this for the last couple of weeks. Like, I just don't understand why he doesn't use it.
But
I just don't understand whatsoever. Like, he was willing to use like Reguilon against Tamworth and bring him on in certain games around that period. Why is he not willing to use him in these kind of games?
He just doesn't want to use it and trust him.
Trust him for what, though?
To be part of the team, I don't know. Look, I wouldn't mind him using him personally, if we could say. But if we, I don't think he is going to use him. I think he's going to go with what he's been using for the last few months, and it hasn't been Reguilon.
But surely it's like this game more than ever because we're literally like less than a week away from the Europa League.
I mean, this
final.
game is most likely to use him. I still don't think he will. I think maybe he goes Spence and the doggy because maybe he does what he did last time. He gives the doggy an hour, like he gave Porro an hour, and he plays those two. Maybe Spence on the right, doggy on the left. Or does he go just Gray and Spence, and maybe midfield he does something else?
Thing is, like, when he did use Reguilon, it's not like he was even bad. You know what I mean? Like, he put in competent performances, so I just don't understand the way he's managing that situation. But I do think it's going to be Spence right back and a doggy left back. That's what I think it's going to be.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And then maybe at some point he'll change it like he did last time.
Yeah,
and give a doggy a rest.
I think the centre backs pretty much pick themselves. So it'll be Danso right centre back. And then it'll be Ben Davis at left centre back.
Yeah, which is interesting because I actually reckon the plan going into this was maybe to give Romero and Van de Ven some minutes ahead of the final, which is what he implied before the game against Palace, that in this game he might play a stronger team. But then after Decky's injury, he was like, I just can't afford to risk any more injuries. Yeah. And so I think that kind of thinking's maybe changed a bit. Well, if he's
saying that, then why the hell would he not use Reguilon then?
Yeah, maybe he will use Reguilon. I just don't think he will because he just hasn't. But maybe he will. I don't know. I'd like to.
Like, if he's saying that, surely that suggests like rest anyone that's going to start in the game on Wednesday.
Yeah, but he's clearly only playing players he trusts. I don't know. Like, he just hasn't trusted him.
But there was one point in the season where we were using him a little bit.
That's because we literally had no choice.
Yeah, like, who did we play at fullbacks against Tamworth? It was Spence and Reguilon, right?
Spence and Reguilon. And we were playing Gray centre-back back then with Dragoshin.
And Porro was still fit. He could have played.
Sorry, no, Porro played.
Did Porro play against
Porro
Tamworth?
played against
So no
Tamworth.
Spence. Oh, Spence didn't even play.
Spence, I think, was he injured? Or no, he came on. He came off the bench. Came off the bench.
So why did he not start Spence instead of Reguilon that game then?
Maybe we had a game on Thursday. I can't remember. But we were down to the bare bones. But I guess it's not too dissimilar right now. Well, I guess in defence it's not the same situation. But look, I personally wouldn't mind seeing Reguilon because I just don't care about this game. I just don't see him playing him.
Anyway, this is the back four that we're going to go for. In midfield, I think Archie Gray takes one of the spots.
Yeah, I agree. And look, unfortunately, it's not been great from him in this position recently, which is a shame because obviously we've all been like excited to see him here. But I think he's just got to kind of ride this out, learn as much as he can, and hopefully next season learn from this experience because he's definitely struggling right now. But hopefully,
it ain't getting any easier this game. This is going to be a Villa team that are going to be bang on it as well with a really hard midfield.
Yeah, it's going to be
Kamara, Tielemans, these kind of players. They're all such good midfielders and physical midfielders as well.
Yeah, and I think he'll struggle.
Yeah,
so it might be great at fullback, and then he might go midfielders. But yeah, it's hard to say which one exactly.
So alongside Gray, is he going to go with Sarr there? Is he going to go with one of Bentancur and Bissouma?
I think Sarr will definitely start, to be honest.
Does he start there, though? Because when Kulusevski went off, he moved Sarr into the 10.
Yeah, but then he changed it again after an hour.
Yeah.
So he changed it quite quickly. Yeah, I do think one of Bentancur or Bissouma will probably start, to be honest. And Bentancur started against Palace, so maybe it'll be Bissouma for a half, and then Bentancur comes on or something like that.
I think, yeah. I mean, we're just, you talk about down to bare bones. We really are down to bare bones when it comes to midfielders. So he started Bentancur last game and played Bissouma second half, so I think it'll be the reverse this time round.
So Bissouma and Gray. So we're going Sarr in the 10 then.
Sarr in the 10, Sonny in the 10, Odegaard in the 10.
Well, if Sarr's not there, then we're saying Sarr's not going to start, and he will start, won't he?
Yeah.
So unless Gray goes to fullback and then we put Sarr there, we're saying Sarr in the 10.
Who else would play in the 10?
I said we have options in the 10, but I'm saying we know that Sarr's going to play. Well, we think anyway.
No, Sarr's definitely going to play.
So,
but I'm asking, in the 10, who do you think it will be?
Yeah, it could be Odegaard, Sonny, maybe Solanke.
I've got a feeling, actually. I think take Udogie out, put Spence at left back, put Archie Gray at right back, and put Sarr and Bissouma in the double pivot, I think.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense, to be honest. Something like that. I actually think that makes a lot more sense. So, and then actually you take Gray out midfield as well, where he's really been struggling. He's probably going to go over on anyway. And then
I think in the 10, you go for Odegaard.
I think it might be. So, if we're saying who we definitely think is going to start, I think Tell will start. And so where does he start? Does he start on the left or does he start up front? Is he going to rest Rishi and Solanke? Is he going to start one of them?
I'm not 100% certain Tell's going to start.
I think he will.
I think he's going to use Sonny on the left, and I think he's only going to play 45 minutes, and I think Tell will come on for him at half time.
So then who's going to play on the right?
Why would you say Tell's 100% going to start? I don't think he's
because he said he's going to start players who are maybe looking to get game time ahead of the final, who haven't played that much.
Tell's played, hasn't he?
In the Premier League, yeah. He's been in our Premier League team.
Yeah, so he's still played a decent amount of football.
Yeah, but I think he's talking about players like Tell and Odegaard. That's who he's referring to, I think. And Gray, who's also played a lot in the Premier League.
I think it's going to be Richie up top.
So we're thinking Richie up top. Odegaard in the 10, you're thinking.
Yeah, I think Odegaard in the 10.
So then that leaves, what you think, unless you think Mikey Moore's going to start, that leaves Son and Tell.
Maybe Odegaard right wing. Odegaard in the 10. Maybe Tell starts on the right then.
I think maybe the most likely scenario would be Tell on the left, Odegaard on the right, and Son in the 10. Potentially. Maybe switching it up if it's not working, kind of maybe refiguring it.
So difficult, isn't it? Let's go for that then. Son in the 10, Odegaard on the right, and Tell on the left. So like that. Unless he's not going to start Rishi or Solanke, and then one of Son and Tell goes up front, and then maybe you can fit more in there or something. Obviously, Moore came on quite early last time. He did. I don't know if he's going to start Mikey. I think Mikey probably comes on second half.
Did start him at Villa Park in the FA Cup, but again, yeah, we were down to bare bones back then. And yeah, I guess we're thinking Solanke. Yeah, maybe he's probably going to try and save Solanke for the final. Is
he looking to start Richarlison on Wednesday night? That's
also he might be. He might be. He obviously didn't play both of them against Palace. None of them got any minutes. That implies maybe he is looking to start both of them. But if Richarlison comes out, who comes in? Is it Brennan? Is it Moore? Or is it Solanke? It's only one. It's one of those three: Brennan, Moore, or Solanke. if we take Richarlison out.
Probably more.
And
But
that
then
means,
who goes up top?
Well, Son went up top against Palace, didn't he? So it would be Son up top, I guess. That would be... So it would be kind of... But then who in the 10? Odegaard. So it would be like more on the right, Odegaard in the centre, Tell on the left, and Son up front. I think this
Whatever
is probably
it is,
more
it's
likely.
just a bloody mishmash.
I think this is probably more likely.
Yeah, I think we stick with this, to be honest. I agree. Sakinski in goal, Gray right back, Spence left back, Danso and Davis in the centre back positions, Sarr and Bissouma in the double pivot, Son in the 10, Odegaard on the right, Tell on the left, and Richarlison up top. Which, out of those, anyone on that pitch, the only ones that I think are probably going to start are Son and Richarlison and Bissouma. 3 players.
And they're probably
they're
all
not
get
all dead
subbed up.
certs either.
Yeah, I don't think they're all
I think
going to
Bissouma
start.
and Son are dead certs.
But I do think if, they'll probably start like this, but if it's not working, you could easily it could easily start to look like that. Maybe Son on the left, maybe Tell moves over to the right, Odegaard goes in the centre. Maybe Tell will get a chance to be in the centre as well, show what he's about, if he can do that job. I think this is kind of an audition to see who can play that role, I think.
The thing is, yeah, I mean, you say it's a kind of audition to play that role, but it's not going to be like a functioning team. So it's
not,
hard to
but
really tell, isn't it?
100%, but you can only go what we can see, and this is the last chance we have till the final. So if we had a few more weeks, it'll be a different case. But we've literally got one game. Decky's just been injured. Obviously, they have training as well, but Ange said pretty clearly, like, he's going to be looking at this game to see what kind of solutions he can find in that position. Obviously, you can one of the solutions also be playing a midfield 3 of Sarr, Bissouma, and Bentancur in the middle 3 anyway, so you might not do any of. You might not even have a 10. Could also play Solanke and Son, or Solanke and Richarlison up front with Solanke a bit deeper. So, but I do think Son, Tell, and Odegaard, if those 3 start, like I think there's a good chance he'll be looking at one of them to maybe play in that 10. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, I have to wait and see what happens. But in my personal opinion, I don't think it should be any of those playing in the 10. I really believe it should be a Solanke-Richarlison combo up there. So maybe we'll see that for the last 15 minutes or so. But I can't see it being for any significant amount of game time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Solanke-Richarlison with Son on the left, and maybe even Odegaard on the right. But I think there's a chance as well, like, as much as Johnson, I think right now he's nailed on for that position on the right. If Odegaard has a great game, he gives him a tough decision to make, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's interesting, like, the 2 managers, what they've been saying pre-game. So, like, Amorim has been saying that you can't not play players for, like, 10 games. His team selection is going to have no bearing this weekend on the final on the Wednesday. Because if they play this weekend, they're going to be completely fine to play the Wednesday. Where Ange, because of that Kulusevski injury, he's just like, look, pretty much we just need to wrap them in cotton wool and make sure we get no injuries.
Yeah, and that's because it's just how our seasons have been. So I understand it. I guess I don't think you should really be planning for a big game on the basis of planning for luck, in a sense. You should plan how you want to plan, and you shouldn't say, oh, because Decky got injured, I'm not going to play any players. If that's what you want to do, you should do what you want to do. But
if Decky was an isolated situation,
that's the thing.
Then he would have been like that, but it's not.
And like BERGVALL just pulled Bodo getting injured, Maddison during the Bodo game getting a knee injury. Like, it's just how our season's been. And we know that when we've got a settled 11, we've shown in the Europa League we can be a very good team, and we can perform very well. But we need certain dynamics in place to have that, and if we lose any of them, we could be in trouble. And I think he knows that. So I just think he's got to do what he's got to do. And he said, look, he's got to do what's best for the club, and what I think he thinks that's what's best.
Yeah. So you would expect that with this lineup that we've got, Son's going to go off at half time, Bissouma will go off at half time, and potentially even Richarlison as well. So those 3 players will probably look to go off at half time.
And you could even see Richarlison go off like more and move Tell up front or something.
Yeah. So, look, this is the lineup that we're going for. Let us know in the comment section below. Do you think this will be the lineup? Would you go stronger? Would you go weaker? Let us know. But let's talk about this Aston Villa game. I mean, you're looking at the club's 2 motivations going into it. I mean, it couldn't be far apart for this 90 minutes of football. Villa, such a massive game for them. The stadium's going to be up for it. The fans are going to be up for it. The players are going to be bang up for it as well. And you're looking at Spurs, the way they've managed a Premier League game so far, particularly in the last couple of weeks. There's going to be hardly any motivation there to go and, put yourself about, not pull out those 50-50s, and Villa are going to be full-blooded in those 50-50s.
And not only that, how many times have we gone to Villa Park and got an injury? Like recently, it happens every time we play them. We get an injury.
Yeah,
I am worried about McGinn and Cash and all these people just put in hard challenges and try and hurt our players all the time. So that's something that I think we might probably be wary of going into this game.
Yeah, I do feel like it'll be smart not to play Sonny at left wing because you don't want him coming up against Matty Cash.
Yeah, honestly,
you know what I mean?
These two-footed lunges. So look. I completely agree. I can't. It's hard to envisage a Tottenham side being really well up for it. Even if even if we were, Emre's a very good, clever, tactical, smart coach. Like I think at our best, if we were playing a 4-11 against their 4-11, we've had good games against Villa and against Unai Emery, and I think we can handle them. But in this kind of scenario, I can see them overwhelming us. I can see them just being more physical and just winning those battles, those duels, those 50-50s, second balls, set pieces, all these different things. And I think Tottenham will probably just crumble. I really don't see Tottenham putting up much of a fight in this game, to be honest, like we have done for most of the other Premier League games. Like how we performed against Palace, we just rolled over. It was so easy for Palace in that game, and they didn't even have much to play for. Villa are going to be super motivated. Also, their last home game of the season. If they win, they put themselves in a great position to get Champions League football. There's so much going in their favour. It would be a real turn up from the form books or any sort of form for Tottenham to get any sort of result in this game.
Yeah, you're looking at the league table. They're currently 6th. They're 3 points behind Newcastle in 3rd. So I mean that just shows you the magnitude of the game for them going into it. Chelsea play Manchester United as well, who are currently on the same points as Aston Villa, both on the Friday night. So a bit of an interesting one there. But you're looking at Villa's form going into it. They had a shocker in the FA Cup, didn't they? An absolute shocker, getting battered by Crystal Palace. But I think since then, they've had 2 1-0 wins. But I think, convincing victories, and Unai Emery knows the job he needs to do right now. Yeah,
and it's interesting, usually at this point of the season, this is the point where Unai Emery has history of really suffering and really not doing well, and bottling the league. And this season seems to be they seem to be doing all right. I guess you can say against Villa in the cup, they did completely shit the bed on that occasion, and they got battered 3-0, and it was deservedly so. But in the Premier League, it seems as though obviously in the Champions League as well they did really well, and they were so unlucky against PSG not to go through, and they haven't let it affect them. They've really kicked on the Premier League, just getting the job done, being professional, getting the results they need to, and they've given themselves a real fighting chance now of getting into that Champions League, which, to be honest, they absolutely are desperate for, given their kind of financial situation. So they need that Champions League. It's an absolute necessity, but they've given themselves a brilliant opportunity to do it.
Yeah. But regardless of what you were saying before, regardless of, the team that Spurs are going to put out here, going to Villa Park has been a daunting task for anyone this season. Mm-hmm. I think they've lost 1 game at Villa Park all season, and that was in the first month of the season, or the first week of the season, I think it was.
And even that game was against Arsenal, and they should have taken something from that game.
Yeah, they've been incredible at Villa Park this season. It's where their away form has probably let them down a little bit.
Although it says they're 5th in the home table,
so
which is good.
Had a few draws there, but still, to be where they are has been brilliant. I'm looking at the last time they didn't win a game at home, and you have to go way back. You got to go to the Liverpool game in February, you know. So they have had a few they drew with that Ipswich at Villa Park, didn't they, this season? But more times than not, they've been absolutely brilliant at Villa Park. And the way they've managed the season, because first half of the season it wasn't certain that they were going to be in the Champions League fight or anything like that, and they went out, they got Rashford, they got Asensio, they've got Daniel Marlin, and these guys have really kicked them on in this second half of the season. Really have.
Yeah, giving them a second win, because they were so heavily reliant on kind of Watkins. I know Rodgers had a great season as well, and he's really kind of upped his output as well second half of the season, whereas first half he was playing great, with kind of being a bit frustrating in front of goal, but second half of the season he's really starting to be a bit more clinical and ruthless, and he's got the makings of being an absolute star. I think he might already be there. He's so good, Morgan. But in terms of goals, first half, they were very much relying on Watkins a lot of the time. And if he wasn't scoring, it was hard to see where the goals were coming. And I think Rashford, Asensio and Marlon have really helped that. Just the quality and creating chances and just adding a lot more quality into that front line, which they didn't have. And it was a phenomenal January, and it's really given them the platform to kick on and not let the season slip away from them. And I think that if they get back in the Champions League, considering how they performed against PSG over 2 legs, and they were so unlucky maybe not to go through, albeit they were 4 goals down at one point, but they did make kind of a really good comeback and were so close to doing something miraculous. And they'll probably look at that and have the confidence, like, if we can just get back in the Champions League, have a really good summer, with Unai there, they can take on anyone. But the problem for them is, what the future for Watkins is, what the future for what their future financial situation is. Can they afford to bring Rashford in the summer with his wages and things like that? What do they do with Asensio? Do they make that permanent? They got a lot of tough decisions to make, Aston Villa, especially when they're trying to be in accordance with FFP. There's a lot of rumours that they're going to have to make a big sale. So how that affects them, we'll have to wait and see. But what they do know is they have to be in that Champions League. They have to.
Do you think that big sale will come in the shape of an Ollie Watkins? Because he's not getting any younger now. What is he? 29, 30, around that ballpark figure. So I feel like there was rumours that they offered him to Arsenal in the January transfer window. They said no, and then they went and sold Duran for best part of 80 million or whatever it was. And then Arsenal came in with the bid, and obviously they were never going to let him go. But is that money that they got for John Duran not going to, massively help them with the FFP situation?
I think they had to do it, but apparently it's not enough.
Not enough?
Yes, I'm saying they need to sell another one, potentially, because they put a lot of that money. I know it's not necessarily transfer fees, but, Rashford's, they're paying a portion of his wage. I don't know how much Asensio is. Marlon, they signed for, I think, 20 million, which is not a big fee, but obviously it's still an outlay. And they're paying 97% of their wages, of their income on wages, 97. So when it comes to being sustainable for FFP, apparently they do need to make another big sale on top of that Duran one. But Duran definitely helped, but they had to do it.
And as someone says in the comments, they do have a few injuries. Rashford, Tielemans, Ramsey out for the game. I think Ramsey actually had a really good season this year.
We were heavily linked with him, weren't we?
And a lot of people not convinced whether to bring him in or not. But I think on the back of the season that he's had, you would probably say it's a bit of an easier decision now.
Yeah, and he's very kind of versatile. He's really kicked on. I think he's had a really good year. And I think he's a player that's kind of developing, improving. And I think these kind of players who can play in multiple different positions to a good level, they're very valuable. And that's what kind of, he just fits in wherever they need him, Villa.
It's interesting with some of the signings that Villa make, like, Ramsey, one of them, Tielemans, one of them, Rashford, one of them, even Marlon to a certain extent, Asensio, the majority of those players Spurs were linked with, and a lot of our fans probably scoffed at them, being like, yeah, these guys are not good enough. Tielemans was obviously going a bit off the boil at Leicester, and everyone's like, oh, it's a massive risk to sign Tielemans. He's been one of the best midfielders in the Premier League this season. I enjoy watching him play so much. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Asensio as well. He's come in and out of the team at PSG, and he's come in and done a brilliant job. I think he's maybe dried up a little bit over the previous weeks, but still the impact that he's had has been phenomenal. Rashford maybe didn't get the goals that maybe you were expecting him to get, and also a lot of people, Spurs fans, were saying, I don't want to see Rashford at Spurs. But, on the back of the performances that we've seen from, particularly in the Champions League, you'd probably say, you know what, a 6-month loan deal would have been a smart move to do. So there's been a lot of players at Villa this season that Spurs fans were just like, nah, I don't really want them. But now, if you ask them again, they'll probably all say, yeah, I'd have him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I think that's the difference between us and Villa, is that we've, in terms of the last 2 years, we've clearly been making signings at a very much younger age, looking to build a younger team to kind of hopefully create superstars and build the team that's going to be together for a long time, that kind of thing, and massively lowering the average age. Whereas Unai and Villa have been much more willing to compromise on kind of younger players and just go for players that are kind of ready for the short term, ready to immediately impact the team, ready to immediately contribute for them. And that's obviously been a criticism of us in terms of we haven't done anywhere near enough of doing that kind of thing.
Another example of that, by the way, is Amadou Onana, because we were heavily linked in the last summer as well.
Yeah, and he's been brilliant for them as well. Another really good signing. So these are players for sure that I think a lot of Tottenham fans look at that and they think we haven't kind of made those investments in players who can immediately kind of make an impact. We're always signing players that we're hoping can kind of grow into the role and we're hoping can kind of in the future become the player that we need, but right now we need to give him time. And we're in that process of giving all these players time, and obviously the results are suffering for it a lot of the time because these players just aren't kind of ready immediately to be at the level where we want them to be, which is challenging for top 5, 6 in the league and be at that kind of level, whereas they're more willing to, let's pay big wages, get Rashford on loan, let's spend 20 million on Marlon, even though maybe he's going to be out of the door in a year.
Did they sign him? Was he not alone?
He's like 20 million. They signed him permanently.
They signed him permanently.
Yeah, they're more willing to do that, and I think maybe we used to do that potentially, and maybe short term it worked, and then under Conte maybe when we did it and it worked for 6 months, then the next season maybe you could argue maybe we suffered for it, or maybe something else happened, but
I don't really think we brought in the required quality though, did we?
Well, we spent a lot for short term. That's my point. Like for short term, we weren't really signing a lot for the future.
We bought like Kulusevski and Bentancur, but apart from that, like who did we sign really?
Well, that was in January.
Yeah.
And then we signed Basuma, we signed Richarlison, we signed Perisic. We were looking for a lot of players, Longley on loan, looking for a lot of players in the short term, and and I'm not saying maybe it's the players we signed rather than the strategy that was the problem, but obviously it didn't turn out look great long term. But right now for Villa, they've obviously had a great 2 years and they're doing very, very well. But is it a case of will it in the long term, in a year's time, are they going to be suffering for that strategy, or is it going to pay dividends? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see. Morgan Rogers as well, he's been a sensational signing. For Aston Villa. I'm not sure how much they spent on him, but
I think 15 million.
What a signing that has
brilliant.
Been. What
signed
a
from the Championship.
22 years of age, signed from Middlesbrough, was on the ranks at Manchester City, wasn't he? Not long ago, Middlesbrough signed him off Man City. I mean, he's been a revelation. He really has. And, he likes to get under your skin, Morgan Rogers. He's got such skill about him. He's always buying fouls, making fouls, but he's got quality, doesn't he? Such quality.
Yeah, he's so difficult to deal with. It's like if you get too close to him, he just spins in behind you. If you step off him, he's got the quality to he's been improving that quality to get shots off and make killer passes. You just can't give him time on the ball. He's really becoming a superstar for Aston Villa. He can play off the wing, can play in the 10, can do any sort of role. He's got unbelievable physicality. He's so strong. I think the first time I really stood up and took notice of him in terms of like, wow, this actually is a serious talent, was they played Arsenal earlier in the season. And he was just running the show, like they couldn't get near him. I know they ended up losing 2-0, but like every time they gave the ball to Rodgers, he was like spinning Declan Rice like it wasn't there. Thomas Partey, creating opportunities, getting shots on goal, playing through balls, creating chances. And I was like watching him play, I was like, these Arsenal players can't get near him. It's absolutely incredible to see. And he's just kicked on and just been doing that all season. I think for the first 6 months last season, not saying he was bad or anything, but he didn't hit the ground running, let's say, last season for the first 6 months, and it took him a bit of time to bed in. But as soon as he's like come back from pre-season this season, he's like taken the Premier League by storm, and he's been one of the shining lights of the season, not just for Villa but in the Premier League. And this guy is going to be a star in the future, and I don't know if he's been capped by England yet, but it's only a matter of time. And he's just a phenomenal talent, and just goes to show the talent that there is in the Championship if you're smart about it.
Yeah, absolutely, completely spot on. So look, it's fair to say they're building a really nice squad there. Another player that we were linked with in Pau Torres, I think like he's had a really good season as well for Villa this year. Maatsen, I think, has been a decent signing for them off the bench, making an impact. And I guess the one player that we were linked with that hasn't really gone well for them, or hasn't really blown me away or made me any bit jealous is Axel Disasi. You know, he's probably the only one that was linked with us, and like I'm saying like, oh, I wish we would have signed him.
Yeah, pretty happy we probably didn't get that, to be honest, because he's not been great for them. But they've built a very good team and quite a deep squad as well. I think Unai Emery has imprinted his style in there, and also Unai is a manager a lot of the time who, for the last couple jobs, hasn't really made a home there, and he's kind of struggled to find like longevity, and he was seeming to be like only there for a couple years, and he was, his stock was declining at the time, and this Villa job has really come at an unbelievable time for him, and looks like he's found a home here. And this is like, people have always said about Unai, is he the kind of manager who needs to be managing at this kind of level, like a team who's not quite at the top, but still good enough that he can have resources to work with. And he's been at PSG and Arsenal, it hasn't quite worked out, but Sevilla, Villarreal, and now and Valencia, I think he did a good job, and now Villa. There seems to be this is where he feels at home at this kind of level.
What blew me away about this Villa side was that second half that they played against PSG. Because they were 2-0 down at half time. The tie is all but done, pretty much. Everyone's just saying how many
4 goals tie.
Yeah, how many is it going to be to PSG in the second half? They are absolutely blowing them away. Unai makes a couple of tweaks at half time, and suddenly Villa are blowing this PSG team away. This PSG side who bloody blew Liverpool away, beat Arsenal in the semi-final quite convincingly in the end. And I think Villa probably given them the hardest time out of anyone in this Champions League, particularly in the knockout stages anyway.
He's brilliant in these European competitions. He just has some sort of magic he has.
The reality is, right, on the balance of playing that second half, they did more than enough to go through. That is the reality.
They were 3-2 up, and they were, the chances they had at 3-2 to make it 4-2. And
Maatsen shot at the end, I thought that was in.
It was incredible, and he just seems to have this kind of magic in these European Cup competitions. Obviously, he's won the Europa League 3 times. He got to the semi-finals of Villarreal. With PSG, it didn't quite go to plan, but even in one of the games, I know they ended up losing, and it's the famous game where they lost 6-1, but they did beat Barca in the first leg 4-0. And which was an incredible performance. And for Villa, I know Conference League they should have really won it, but he got to the semi-finals, but they didn't quite go all the way. But in the Champions League, they were brilliant in the group stages, by and large. They got the top 8, and they brushed aside Club Brugge, and then PSG gave them a real run for their money in that tie. So, like, he's just got a way about him, and if they do invest correctly, like there's no reason why Villa couldn't be a surprise package one year in the Champions League if they get there again. Yeah. I reckon if they do drop into Europa League next season, put your money on him winning that.
Yeah, well, definitely, yeah. Very, very. Well, we said that about the Conference League, though.
True.
We say that about the Conference League. So Villa have Spurs and Manchester United last 2 games of the season. I mean, if this is probably the 2 games that they want, right? They have one team before the final and one team after the final.
Probably handpick games. This wouldn't be far off it, I would say.
Yeah, so you would assume that they get 6 points. That makes it, doesn't it?
Considering that Forest play Chelsea, unless Chelsea also win both games, then yeah. Chelsea obviously play Man United and Forest. If Chelsea win both those games, then obviously goes down to goal difference. And depending on who wins by bigger margin, I think Chelsea are winning quite significantly, +7. So unless Chelsea win both, then they will be in that top 5. And you probably back Chelsea to drop points in one of those games, probably the Forest game. It will be difficult for them.
Yeah, I think without Jackson, it does take away a bit from their game. So I'm more confident Villa make it than Chelsea make it, put it that way.
Yeah, so I think they'll probably say to themselves, you get 2 wins and you're probably there. And I think there's a good chance they will be there.
I do think both Villa and Chelsea both win this weekend. It's all about what happens on the last day.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, look, Villa against Spurs tomorrow night, 7:30 under the lights at Villa Park. I don't hold much hope for Tottenham. Do you?
No. We're going to be on the beach. Well, not quite on the beach. I think that's the wrong term.
Definitely not on the beach.
Yeah, I think this is the wrong term for it. But it's, let's say our eye's going to be off the ball. It is the one.
We're going to be in Bilbao. That's where we're going to be.
Yeah, we're going to be in Bilbao. Any beaches in Bilbao?
Let's hope not.
So, yeah, I don't see anything but a Villa win, a convincing win. The only hope that I have, in a weird way, is that they go like 2-0 up really early and just like play around the back, and they don't want any injuries going to the last day. So I don't want it hanging in the balance and them going like hell for leather for like 90 minutes, because that could spell trouble for us. So I think we should just shake hands now, give them a 3-0 win and move on, but we're not going to do that. So yeah, but I'm going to go. I think it's going to be 3-0.
3-0. Yeah.
3-0 Villa.
I'm going to go for 2-0, so just one goal less than you. But look, the reality is, as much as I want to sit here and see Spurs win and always want to see us do our best, it is got to be like just a preparation game for the game on Wednesday. That's what it is. That's all that matters right now, is that game on Wednesday.
And I'm sure, just like after the Palace game and after this game, you're going to get a whole
21 defeats.
Yeah, you're going to get all this, that, the other. Look at the record. Look at the blah 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 blah. Yeah, I expect it. It's going to happen. They're going to have to just put up with it, because at the end of the day, Wednesday is all that matters.
But if we do lose this and then they lose on Wednesday,
then it's burn it all down. Yeah, burn down the club, cancel it. Get Ange's head on a spike.
And it's actually like warranted as well. It's not even
if we lose on Wednesday,
it's not even like people going over the top.
No,
That's
it would be the worst season in our lifetime.
God, let's just bloody pray that we do the business on Wednesday night. That's all that matters right now. And if we don't, then we can look back at all these games and use it as a stick to beat him with. But just win on Wednesday, please. I beg you. Just can the football gods just please look down on us once? Just once.
One time.
Just once.
Yeah, don't expect anything from this game, people. Really, just. I think we're all going to be watching this game probably just like that, just with our hands for our fingers, just hoping there are no injuries, hiding behind a couch, because that's all we just got to hope that doesn't happen in this game as we get more players injured.
Yeah, look, I would love to sit here and fill you guys with confidence for the game tomorrow night, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a difficult watch, as the last couple of Premier League games have been, and this one's going to be no different. So, and we're coming up against a team with, something to actually play for in the Premier League. So that's our predictions. We'll be here on the watch long tomorrow night. So come and join us. We can all suffer together, as it's the last game before we make the trip out to Bilbao, which we're very much looking forward to. I cannot wait till next week. I can't wait just to get this game over and done with. And then just to get out to Bilbao, enjoy the festivities, and see Spurs in the European final.
All these Premier League games, I'm just sitting here saying, it's just another game I've got to get through. Yeah. Just another game I've got to get through. Just get through it. I know it's going to happen. We can't jump over it. I can't just click my fingers and I'm in Bilbao.
I wish I could.
We're going to have to watch this game and just sit through it. One more painful game before the final, people. So just one more time. We have to do it one more time until after Bilbao, then we have to do another time. But just one more time before Bilbao, and then we're there in the final. So just get through it. Do what you need to do to ride through it. If you have to skip the game and not watch it, do that. Do what you need to do. And then we're in Bilbao, people.
Yeah. But look, like I said, come and join us tomorrow night on the watch long. And that will be that. That is our Villa Tottenham preview going into the game. 7:30 kickoff tomorrow night. And we're going to finish off the stream with the penultimate Predict the Prem of the season. Sim is on 351. I am on 380. And Sim has got a lot of making up to do in these last 2 weeks.
Need a big 2 weeks. Can happen. It's not impossible. Not impossible.
So maybe the game don't matter for Spurs too much this weekend, but you're sure they matter for Sim massively.
You offered me, if we're 2-0 down, you said you want Tottenham to concede again. Oh, hell yeah. I want Tottenham to concede again.
I think you should clip that up. But yeah, it's 5 points for a completely correct score and 1 point for a correct result. Star man, once you pick that man, you can not pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And starting off with Villa Tottenham, Sim's gone for 3-0. I've gone for 2-0. I just can't see anything for Spurs going into the game this weekend. We're going to have our minds set on Bilbao. Villa are going to have their minds just fully focused on this game for the past week. Massive game for them. Training schedule for us. It is what it is.
It's going to be a battering. They're going to be up for it, especially physically. They can overwhelm you and just get really on top of you. Set pieces as well is one of their biggest strengths, and I can see them really hurting us there. So I can't see anything but a very convincing Aston Villa win here.
Chelsea against Manchester United. Again, Friday night football. Sim's gone for 1-0 to Chelsea.
Yeah, I see a bit more of a cagey game here, especially no Jackson for Chelsea, so they're not going to have that focal point. Also, Amorim has confirmed that he's going to play players that are available and players that are fit, even if they're fit for the final. They might play in the final. They're going to play. So I think they're probably it's going to be a bit of a closer game. But obviously, it does mean more for Chelsea. I do think United are going to have half an eye on the game on Wednesday. But I still see a bit of a closer game because Chelsea, I think, just right now, I think they're not playing that well, but they're getting over the line. And I think they'll do it again on Friday.
Yeah, I kind of agree. On the Manchester United team, I mean, he didn't really take into account the final last weekend, and they lost at home 2-0 to West Ham in an absolutely disastrous result. So I just can't see anything for Man U in this game, and more so this weekend than last weekend. If there's going to be 50-50 second balls, are Man United really going to be going hell for leather for those kind of situations? I can't really see it. I can see them getting a goal from somewhere, maybe a set piece, Harry Maguire or something like that, but even without Nicholas Jackson, even without the fluidity in their play, I still think Chelsea got more than enough to beat a Man United side who are just playing really poorly at the moment. So I have gone for 2-1 to Chelsea. Next up is Everton against Southampton, and this is what Simeon doesn't want right now, is the same scorelines. And it's 2-0 to Everton that we've both gone for. Southampton, we all know they're already down. Great result last weekend against Manchester City, but going to Goodison, last ever game at Goodison Park as well. I can't see anything but a convincing Everton win. Yeah,
I think it's going to be a resounding win for Everton. I think they had a great win away at Fulham last week, which was their first win for a bit, and I think they deserved it. They played really well, and they'll take their confidence into this game. And as you say, last game at Villa Park, the crowd are going to be really behind them. Sorry, Villa Park, Goodison Park. The crowd are going to be really behind them. Southampton, now they've got their point, I think they're going to be on the beach again. So 2-0.
I agree. It's like a trophy for them.
Yeah, literally.
It's an interesting dynamic with this last game at Goodison Park because they're not actually knocking it down. They're going to be using it still for the women's team. Yeah. And so like fans can still go there whenever they want to see the old stadium, whereas when you look at all the other, like Highbury and White Hart Lane and all these stadiums where teams have moved in, like you cannot go to those stadiums anymore. So I just thought it was a bit of an interesting dynamic. Yeah,
there. True, but it's still the last, for the men's team, so it's pretty significant for them.
Yeah. West Ham against Forest. Sim's gone for 1-0 to Forest.
Yeah, I think they'll probably learn a few lessons from what happened at Leicester, where they maybe got ahead of themselves. They were winning and just allowed Leicester to get back in the game, and it was a really disappointing result. If anything, Marinakis probably will be sticking the boot in, trying to get them up for this game. West Ham...
I heard he's going to be managing the team.
Yeah, maybe, West Ham got a nice win against United, but wasn't overly convincing, and I think Forest are much more well organised, and I think they're really going to struggle to break them down. I see it being... I think in these late games in the season, especially like when so much to fight for, I can just see Forest taking the lead and just battening down the hatches and taking a 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, look, both of these teams have been poor of late. West Ham finally got a win at Old Trafford, which will actually give them a lot of confidence, I think, going into this game. Last game at the London Stadium this season. So I can see West Ham being a little bit more up for it than they have been maybe over the past few weeks or so. Nottingham Forest, I don't know, they're just shitting the bed week after week at the moment. So I can see West Ham getting a goal, but I think just Forest will just do enough just about to get over the line. But I see it being a really tight game of football for sure. So I've gone for 2-1 to Nottingham Forest. Next up is Brentford against Fulham. Sim's gone for 2-1. I've gone for 3-1, both for Brentford wins. Fulham have been poor of late. I think 2 wins in their last, I don't even know how many games, but they've been losing a lot of games recently. Brentford on really good form. I think they're one of the form sides in the Premier League, with the likes of Sade scoring seems like every game, and Buemo playing really well. Wissa always there as well. Damsgaard as well, pulling the strings just behind them. I can't see anything but a Brentford win. Last game at the G-Tech this season. So I've gone for a convincing 3-1 win.
Yeah, I went for 2-1. I went for it to be a bit closer, but obviously Brentford, as you say, they're in great form. 4 wins on the trot, and I think they're going to really be confident going to this one at home to Fulham, and they've really given themselves a great chance of getting into Europe, which was a miraculous achievement for Thomas Frank and Brentford to do that. So I think Brentford are going to win this. Mbeumo, Wissa, Sade really having a good end to the season. Fulham as well, not being particularly great late end to the season as well, and I think that's going to carry on here. Seem to have lost a bit of maybe motivation or whatever it is, or mojo, whatever, or maybe is Silva leaving? Is that maybe got taken there after the ball? I don't know what's going on there, but haven't ended the season particularly great, and I think Brentford are going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, Leicester, Ipswich, last game at the King Power. Jamie Vardy's last game for Leicester. I don't know why, but he's not playing. He's not going to be playing in the last game of the season, they've come out and said. So this will be Jamie Vardy's...
He's on the Skittles vodka, that's why. He's going
to be
partying.
Jamie Vardy's send-off in this game, and I think the fans will be well up for it to give him the send-off that he most definitely deserves. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Leicester. I've gone for 3-1.
Yeah, I think Leicester will win this. I think, as you say, Vardy's last game should be a bit of a party atmosphere, albeit I know they're getting relegated, but they have seemed to loosen up a bit since they've gone down. Beating Southampton, got a draw against Forest, got another draw as well. I can't remember who that was against, but they got another draw. So they seem to be upping their performance a bit. Maybe that pressure of not having to win to stay up has made them be a bit more free-flowing. Vardy's actually, I think, his last 2 appearances got a goal and assist, so he's starting to do all right. And I think Ipswich... I think Ipswich have been better for most of the season, but it looks like Leicester might finish above them here, and I think they'll win this one.
Yeah, they're currently on the same points, so it'll be significant in terms of where they both finish in the table. But look, they're both down right now, and with it being Vardy's last game, I can see a bit of a special atmosphere just for him, because everything that he's given to the club, Premier League winner, FA Cup winner, probably record goal scorer, Golden Boot winner in that year as well. So look, I think it's right for the Leicester fans to give him the send-off that he deserves. So I see it being convincing. So I've gone for 3-1 to Leicester. Arsenal against Newcastle up next. Sim's gone for 1-1. I've gone for 2-1 to Newcastle. Arsenal do know if they lose this game, Newcastle actually leap from them in the league, don't they?
They do.
Which will actually be mad. I mean, Arsenal... they fell apart in the first half against Liverpool, made a little bit of a rally and got back and finished the game at 2-2. But I feel like Newcastle just playing with a bit of something extra at the moment. And I can see Newcastle going to the Emirates and taking the 3 points. So I've gone for 2-1.
Yeah, I've gone for 1-1. I think it'll probably be a similar pattern to what we've seen. Maybe Arsenal taking the lead in a lot of these home games, letting the opposition back into the game and conceding a goal. And I think they've kind of struggled to get over the line a lot of these games in the Premier League in recent weeks. It is the last game at home for the season at the Emirates, so I think they won't want to lose. I think they'll make sure they don't lose. But I also think they're going to struggle to win. I think Newcastle will come. They've been very good a lot of late, and they'll come take a point. So I've gone 1-1.
Yeah, and if Newcastle do win, then it's a very realistic chance. They all took the piss. They all took the piss so much when Leicester won the league. You came third in a 2-horse race. Well, it's going to be the exact same thing this season, and we'll see what happens. But Brighton, Liverpool, both gone for Brighton wins here. Sim's gone for 3-1. I've gone for 2-1.
I don't think I've ever seen a team more on the beach, I think, than Liverpool.
Did you see in this week, straight after the game, the Arsenal game, Arne Slot flew out to Ibiza. He's been partying.
Salah in the pool. They're all chilling at the moment.
Salah was in Dubai literally today or yesterday. So, I mean, this game's a myth for them.
Yeah, they're on the beach. They're not picking up another point. I don't think they care either. They're so chilled. They couldn't even wait till after the season to start their partying plans and chilling time. They've literally gone mid-season, before the season ends, and doing it. And I think Brighton will take advantage of it. Still got an outside chance of Europe as well, Brighton. So I think they're going to be taking this game very seriously. Level on points with Brentford at the moment. So I think they are going to win this game. And I think Liverpool, we saw Fulham away recently, weren't great. Chelsea away, they looked on the beach. Arsenal at home, to be fair, played quite well at times, but let that one go. And I think Brighton will take advantage here.
Yeah. Crystal Palace, Wolves. Both gone for Wolves wins. Sim's gone for 1-0. I've gone for 2-1 to Wolves. And, look, Crystal Palace have the FA Cup final. This game's going to be played on Tuesday. So on the back after an FA Cup final, whether they win or lose, they're going to put so much into that game. So I think Wolves will be the beneficiaries of that, and they're going to win the game 2-1.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's going to be struggle whether they win or lose. I think I got more chance of winning this game if they lose the cup final, probably. But if they win, it's going to be party time there, and I can't see them getting up for another game a few days later with Wolves at home. Especially, I know Wolves 2 losses in a row now, so that really good run they're on is now well and truly over. But they're still a good enough side. Cunha, is doing his probably farewell tour, so I've gone for a very close 1-0 win to Wolves.
And last but not least, Man City against Bournemouth. Sim's gone for 1-1 here. I've gone for 2-1 to Man City.
Yeah, disappointing draw, wasn't it, against Southampton for them? And I think Bournemouth have been very good at getting draws at the moment. And they're going to want to end the season in a good manner. I know they lost their last game, but they haven't been losing too many games recently, but have dropped a lot of points. But I can see as well, after the cup final, with the way Bournemouth play that intensity, I can see City struggling to match it. And so I've gone for them to struggle in this game and I've gone for a 1-1.
Yeah, I can't see Man City not winning this game. I think they'll know how much this game means in terms of Champions League qualification because, we're predicting Villa wins, we're predicting Chelsea wins. And if they fail to win this game, they drop out the top 5 if, Chelsea and Villa both win. So I think they'll know how important it is and they'll, by hook or by crook, get those 3 points, in my opinion. And they know how to handle these situations a lot better than the likes of Crystal Palace. So I don't think an FA Cup win will stray them off path or a defeat in the final. So at the Etihad, they are usually, still a very formidable side. So I've gone for 2-1 to Manchester City. And star men, second last star men of the season, Sim's gone for Chris Wood.
Well, I haven't used him all season, and I feel like it'll be wrong to not. So I put him in against West Ham as well. Not a bad opponent to use him for. Hopefully he's good for a goal at least.
Yeah, and I've gone for Jamie Vardy. We actually both went for Jamie Vardy, but I got it in just a few minutes earlier than Sim, so Sim had to switch up his. But Vardy's last game for Leicester is due to be a big one for him because, the stadium's going to be bang up for it and I think he's going to deliver. I think he's bound to get a goal on his last day as a Leicester player. So, I've gone for Vardy. Sim's gone for Wood. Sim's going to have a significant points difference in a positive light this weekend.
Well, Chris Wood could get a hat-trick. Come on. West Ham ain't all that. Come on. He's got a great record in the Premier League this season. He scored last game.
He did against Leicester.
Maybe he's back on form. Come on, Chris.
You better hope so anyway.
I better hope so.
You better hope so. But that is it. 351 to Sim, 380 to myself. Let's see how we get on this weekend. It's important to note, no Saturday football this weekend due to the FA Cup final. So 2 games on Friday night, none on Saturday. The rest on Sunday, apart from the FA Cup finalists who play on Tuesday. So very unorthodox timings of the games this weekend. But we'll see you all tomorrow night, people, in the watch along. 7:30 kickoff. Villa against Tottenham. Be there or be square, my friends. We'll see you all tomorrow. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.